Adharma bhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyah strishu dushtashu varshneya jayate varna shankarah. So the translation is like this. Translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaruvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So translation is like this: when irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become corrupt, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. So this is the purport. Purport हमारा यहाँ पे है. Good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. See, anywhere you take, whichever country there is a war going on, they're always under unrest. May it be Ukraine, may it be Russia. There's always unrest. So when there is good population, there is harmony. People will not fight among themselves. So good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The Varnashrama religion's principles were so designed that good population would prevail in the society for general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder members of the family. So it's very important that the children, especially children and women, should be protected. So Prabhupada used to point out that in the Western world, there is so much exploitation in the name of freedom. So what will happen is, in the name of freedom, the Western world is such a way that they will say so-called freedom for women. So what is the meaning of women freedom? Women can freely mix with man in every aspect, and we all know what happens when women or man and women mixes. So the man and woman, both of them, they mix together, they enjoy and they unite. And when everything is done, the man goes away. So imagine the woman becomes pregnant. The man just leaves and he just walks away because there is no institution of marriage. And today, in the name of woman freedom, no, I want to be free. I want to choose my life. I want to live the way I like. In that name, this illusion of so-called freedom, women are being exploited. They are not allowed to. There's no strict rules which enforces that marriage should be there. Because marriage means commitment. Both husband and wife will live together and they will take care of the child. But when there is no marriage, what will happen? The man will go away and there'll be a child, and the child is the responsibility of whom? The mother, the woman. She alone has to struggle to raise the child. Now, even from the government perspective, if there is so many fatherless children, it's a great liability. How can a single parent take care of one child? So women are being cheated in the name of so-called exploitation, so-called freedom. This freedom, the so-called freedom, is not actually freedom. It is an exploitation. Swami Prabhupada explains that whenever there is marriage, there is responsibility. Institution of marriage means, Krishna conscious marriage means, husband and wife bring a soul to this world. And there's a shloka which says, Mata na sasyat, Pita na sasyat. Janani na sasyat, pita na sasyat, guru na sasyat. If you cannot deliver your children or your subordinates from the imminent danger of death, you should not become a father and mother. That is the duty and responsibility of a guru, a father, a leader, a mother and father. It is a great responsibility. It is not like cats and dogs, you produce children. So Krishna has provided all the resources. And Krishna has also provided Bhagavad Gita. If we follow Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that karma which is used to beget Krishna conscious children between husband and wife is me. That karma between husband and wife, which is used to produce Krishna conscious children, is Lord Krishna himself. But not for sense gratification, not that you enjoy, sexual relationship, all these things, just for the heck of physical enjoyment. That is not what Vedas talk about. It is like living like cats and dogs. So the Vedic civilization never allows us to remain in darkness like the cats and dogs. The cats and dogs have very, very undeveloped intelligence, but human beings are very developed intelligence. And that developed intelligence can be utilized properly only when we follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So imagine someone has gifted Ritambra one plane, and Ritambra is using that private jet. That private jet can be used, usually whenever the plane is there, private jet is there, that is used to fly in the air. And it can be, before flying in the air, it can even travel on the runway, right? But the whole life, if Ritambra uses that plane only on the ground, only on the ground, going from here to where? From Mumbai, from Powai, Hira Nandani, she's going to Kolaba, she's going like that. She's going from here to Vrindavan. From Bombay, she's traveling to Vrindavan by road. So what will some intelligent person tell to Ritambra? What will intelligent person? What is the actual use of the plane, Ritambra? What is the actual use of the plane? Ritambra, am I audible?
Yes,
So
Prabhu, it should fly.
yes, exactly. So similarly, the human body has the capability to understand the higher aspects of spiritual life, understand the greater aspects in life. So that's what human life is all about. That's what is human life is all about. So we should use this human life for understanding the higher principles of life. As a plane can be used on the ground, similarly, the plane can also be used to fly in the air, and that's the actual usage of the plane. So similarly, this body can be used for sense gratification. I can indulge in sense gratification, but that is not the actual use of the human body. The actual use of the human body is making the best use of it is athato brahma jigyasa, to know who I am, what I am, from where am I coming, what is the real purpose of this whole world. Why am I suffering? Why am I becoming old? Why am I getting diseased? I don't want to get diseased. I don't want to die. But why death is forced upon me? I don't want to go old. This threefold miseries is forced upon me. Where is that freedom? All the entire Western world can talks of freedom, freedom. So can they get freedom from an old age? Can they get freedom from death? So it is an illusion. In the name of so-called freedom, all the women are being exploited. What is the meaning of that? There is no fatherless children. There is no responsibility. The man enjoys with the woman and he just leaves her and she just walks off. There is no commitment. There's no responsibility at all. And what happens to the child? The child whole life, he hankers for a father. And say, imagine, even if there is so-called marriage, if their marriage is only on the principle of physical attraction, once that physical attraction stops, what happens? Divorce. Gone. No more relationship. The father is alone, the mother is alone. So this is the fallacy of modern civilization. The modern civilization only sees the physical attraction, not the spiritual upliftment of the soul. This is not there. So here very nicely Prabhupada is saying, such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder members of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. See, in the olden days, every woman used to take bath and they used to go to the temple. They used to be fully engaged in different services of the Lord, making garlands for the Lord, cooking for the Lord, doing different activities for the Lord. So 24 hours they're engaged about Krishna. So they will not think of all this nonsense, things. Now what has happened? There is mobile in your hand. All the nonsense scenes will be there. All the movies will be there. So all of this is this is the work of Maya. Even if someone genuinely wants to think of Krishna, wants to go to temple, all their surroundings, they will say, why, are you mad? You are going to a temple, you're a modern woman. A modern woman going to a temple, it is like a symbol of slavery. A modern woman should be free. You should be able to wear torn jeans. You should be able to wear skirt, and you should be able to walk freely, mix freely. And it is a great fashion. I have 12 boyfriends. I have 7 boyfriends. The more the number of boyfriends, the more you're popular. And with great pride, they will tell. What nonsense. You're saying how much unreliable you are. You are not committed to one person. You are, you are committed. There's no commitment at all. So don't fall in this trap. I'm so famous. What is the meaning of this famous? Even if you people, if you dress differently, some people will see. What is the use of that? What is the use of that? You will fail that pleasure. Oh, everyone is noticing around me. But what is that? What is that pleasure? This is a momentary pleasure. You are misleading that person also, and you are also being misled, because you are becoming a victim. You'll become a victim. There's so many crimes against women. There's so many things which are going on in this world. So it is this kind of freedom. Very recently, there is one movie, called as Kerala Story. So they always, in that story, what they do is they always instigate. Your God does not do all these things, because our people, they do not know the fundamentals of our religion. They're easily getting persuaded. But imagine, right from the childhood, one girl or a boy is taught about Bhagavad Gita. He knows the principles of that. He is not this body, he is Atma. This fundamental principle is there. When someone comes and tells you that, your God is doing like this, then he will be able to fight back and tell, what do you know about my God? Do you know about Krishna? Do you know who Krishna is? Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam, the Lord of everything. You are talking about that God? Do you know any information about that God? So he'll immediately fight back. So it is very important that we give this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to all our children. And I'm really glad that all of you are here. You're learning these principles. So it's very important here, the chastity. Yamam vapi smaran bhavam tajate anta kalevaram. Imagine a woman is chaste. She thinks of her spiritual master or her husband at the moment of death, because a woman is very much dear to, she very much respects the husband and the spiritual master. So she'll be always either thinking of the husband, or with great awe and respect, she'll be thinking of her father or the spiritual master. So whenever a woman thinks of a husband or a spiritual master, or a father, a spiritual father like that, obviously at the moment of death she will also think of that person. And what happens? Yam yam bhavi smaran bhavam tajete ante kalevaram means Lord Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita that whatever state of consciousness you will be at the moment of death, you will attain that consciousness and you will become that. So next life, for sure, if a woman thinks of her husband at the moment of death, or a spiritual master or a father, she will become a man. And for sure, if she thinks of Krishna, she does not have to do anything. She'll go back to Krishna. So this is what it is. Kunti Maharani was always thinking of Krishna. At the moment of death, she thought of Krishna. She went back to Krishna. Mother Yashoda, always thinking of Krishna. She went back to Krishna. So this is the principle. So, uh, so I should always engage. So the different family traditions of religious activity should always engage them, and thus their chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in varnashrama system. On the failure of such varnashrama system, naturally the woman will become free to act and mix with men, and this is exactly happening in the Western world. And thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society. This is happening in the Western world. Unfortunately, even in India, there are so-called leaders, there are so-called actors, there are so-called women freedom fighters who, in the name of women freedom, they are promoting all this nonsense. So, so on the failure of such varnashram system, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. So primarily, all this disturbance is happening when you're not Krishna conscious. When you're Krishna conscious, every problem is resolved. So now I would request everyone to, now in few seconds this will get disconnected, we will not again come back. So I would request everyone to take out your malas and you can please start chanting. This is the time now. So I will humbly request everyone, so please chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and make your life successful, because this is what Prabhupada wants. This is what Lord Krishna